There is no doubt that Harry Potter series is a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. Across the world, people are united in their love for witchcraft and wizardry, but when you look past those layers, you understand that the film was about anti-fascism. There is a very consistent layer throughout the Harry Potter series, but they are very much under the glossiness that we have fallen in love with the Harry Potter series. But unlike the Harry Potter franchise, the Fantastic Beasts, it's a different beast altogether. Vanakkam, welcome to Kutty Review. This is Avinash Ramachandran. Today we're going to speak about the third installment of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, Secrets of Dumbledore. As I said, the subtlety is not there anymore because in this post-truth world, there is no place for keeping layers. You need to be out there and tell what you want to do. And in some ways, this is very interesting how the villain of the series, Gellert Grindelwald, is placed in 1930s Germany, where he talks about the need for a pure blood race, where he speaks about the need for going against the Muggles, waging a war against them to, you've heard these similarities in that era, in that country. So it's not a very, subtextual allegories. It's very, very on your face. That is something you've seen throughout the film, especially in which there's no more homoerotic undertones between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Here it's out in the open. We must address the giraffe in the room. That is Grindelwald's being replaced. Because the earlier film we saw Johnny Depp play the role, and now we have Mads Mikkelsen in it. And Mads Mikkelsen comes directly into the film. There is no much of a transition phase. We are right bang in center of what this amazing actor brings to the table. And we see how the chilling suaveness is very effective in this installment. Unlike the previous film, which was a bit bloated due to the exposition and the concentration not being solely on Newt's commander, played brilliantly by Eddie Redmayne. But we are back to the basics here because we see how the Fantastic Beasts of the title are used throughout the film. We see how Newt's commander goes around saving these so wonderful creatures from across the world, and to especially see how his world evolves, and along with the secrets of Dumbledore. Of course, it is his secrets that tumble down, and we see how the whole world is revolving around this big war that is brewing between Grindelwald and Dumbledore. We know that because we have been acquainted with this world for quite some time, and now we are seeing how this we go back to the fact that the second, third, and fourth film in a 5-film franchise is essentially the build-up. The first film introduces you to the world that they're going to start building, and the fifth film is the culmination of everything. So second, third film is what I would call the middle filmitis, where it is not really a complete film, it's not really a standalone film, it's somewhere in between. But doesn't mean that those films are not interesting enough, but second film wasn't. So it's a huge change in third film that we are happy with what we are seeing, because as I said, the concentration not just on Dumbledore or Grindelwald, we also see how the world of Newt's commander and his friends are evolving. As I said, the performances are so on point, right from Eddie Redmayne to Mads Mikkelsen to Jude Law and to everyone else playing the roles, and the Fantastic Beasts who inhabit these places. We also go back to how there's a very Indiana Jones sequence involving Newt and his brother Theseus. Then we also have a wonderful escape scene from a ballroom space of sorts. Then we go back to Hogwarts, which did really rekindle a lot of nostalgia. The moment the music came and I started humming, I started looking out for Harry, Hermione, and Ron, but of course this is set way before their time, and we also see those kids who might turn out to be the most important players in the future films. We see a young Minerva McGonagall, we see a lot of such teachers. There are such allusions to the Harry Potter franchise itself, and that is a good positive of this film because it does start to show signs of fitting into the wizarding world that we now know of. As opposed to the previous films of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, Secrets of Dumbledore really don't have these big set pieces. There are no these big set action pieces that actually blow your mind away. But then what we see is very, very pivotal to what we're going to see. So that level of investment is kept throughout the film, and that level of engagement is made possible the performances, the music, and the way the scenes are staged. The film is essentially Fantastic Beasts, and that is the most important factor of this film. And when you see those scorpion-like insects crawling around, or you've got your the boat truckles that makes its way back, and then you've got a small bird that can shape shift into a parachute. These things are what essentially keep fantastic beasts grounded, and that's exactly what happens in this film also. So that is something constant in this franchise. Even in the comparatively dull second part, you had these fascinating, colorful creatures. That also happens in part 3. But as I said, essentially, this film is a placeholder for what is going to happen. For a franchise that already says that it's an 18-year franchise, 5 films long, you know that these films are placeholders. This is all building up to what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen because without Albus Dumbledore defeating Grindelwald, there is no chocolate frog sticker that's going to happen in the first book of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, of course. So you know what's going to happen, you know how it is going to happen. So it's all a build-up, and now we are finally invested in what's happening. And as I said earlier, this film is essentially a build-up, and that is being written excellently by J.K. Rowling and Steve Kloves, who managed to keep us invested throughout this film, which is also a good sign of what is to come. We now know who are the players, we know how these people are entwined with each other. We know the secrets of Dumbledore, we know Aberforth, we see Credence, we see how Credence's life is entwined with the Dumbledore family. A lot of such stories come out, and now we're finally understanding what happened to Ariana Dumbledore. A lot of these questions are being answered, but it's not enough because we understand in the back of the mind that this is a film that is a placeholder. This is both a boon and a bane for this film because you don't really consider it as a standalone film, and it's not really an all-inclusive push to the future franchise. So somewhere in between it falls, and that is probably what will bring down or pull down the interest in this film. Essentially, for those who are not really acquainted with the world of Newt Scamander, his brilliantly fascinating beasts, Dumbledore, Grindelwald, Minerva McGonagall, people are not acquainted with this world, this film, this franchise itself might be a very, very difficult beast to handle. But for those who understand the difference between this cute little beast we see called Chillin, who resembles the love child of a hippogriff and a Bambi, and people understand the difference between a Chillin and a hippogriff in itself, for them, this is a wonderful addition to their world that they have built in their heads. And I think that is the beauty of the world created by J.K. Rowling and co., that this is something we have so much built in our head that we have to see it through, and if it takes 2 more films, then it does take 2 more films. On that note, thank you, bye-bye, see you. This is Avinash Ramachandran signing off from this week's edition of Kutty Review.